Hello, this is Miss Schrader. Today we are going to be talking about blue and white porcelain, like what you're seeing here. This porcelain was first developed in China, and one of the big things that Europeans wanted was blue and white Chinese porcelain. So you want to get a piece of paper and something to write with. You want to take some notes. When you're done, you're giving me between 5 and 7 sentences about what you found interesting, educational, and important about Chinese blue and white porcelain. All right, so this is an example of some medieval European dishware. The Europeans would have been using wood. They may have been using some form of metal. If they were wealthy, they may have had silver or gold. They may have had porcelain, but the porcelain would have been brown, the color of nature. There may have been some painting on it, but it didn't have that rich beauty that we saw in the blue and white stuff. So you can understand why when the Europeans saw the Chinese dishware, they were just so impressed. What you're looking at right now is an example of a piece of blue and white stoneware with a floral motif that was manufactured in Gongjin in Henan province, and it is believed to be from about 825 to 850 CE. So it is one of the earliest examples that we are aware of. We know that in the 14th century, the Chinese were mass producing fine, translucent blue and white porcelain in a place called Jiangdeshen, which became known as the porcelain capital of China. So this porcelain is beautiful, it is durable, and very, very desirable. This is a blue and white jar from Jiangdeshen during the Yuan dynasty. That's 1271 to 1368. One of the things about Chinese pottery was actually, ironically enough, the clay that was used to make it. It was very heavy in iron, so it had a lot of iron bits in it, which made the material stronger. Um, Once you've made the pot, you put the paint on it and glaze it in place. And then the next thing is that it has to be put into a kiln, a stove, and cooked for a lengthy period of time. And the stove or kiln has to be incredibly hot. This is going to make the pottery strong and very durable. So, medieval traders who came to trade with the Chinese, one of the things that they really wanted was the Chinese porcelain. But they also wanted to try and figure out a way to make Chinese porcelain. The problem is that while they tried to copy the style, copy the color and everything in Europe and the Middle East, they weren't able to do it. The clay wasn't the same, the coloring wasn't the same. It was incredibly difficult. It literally took until the 18th century for non-Chinese to be able to figure out how to make their work similar to the Chinese. What you're looking at right now is a ablution basin with the word taharat, which means cleanliness, on it. And this was made in China for a specific customer who was Islamic and wanted to have Islamic words put on it. And you can see in the center, there is Arabic there. We're looking at an 18th century British tea set. And this would have been purchased in China by an exporter, brought to Britain. The British by then were also importing a huge amount of Indian and Chinese tea, and it had become quite fashionable among the middle class and higher up to have tea parties and to have tea at a certain hour of the day. And you would serve it in this beautiful tea set that may have been given to you as a wedding present because you are supposed to be these sophisticated people. And so you're drinking tea out of your beautiful, elegant tea set. One of the first groups to start figuring out how the Chinese made their porcelain were the Dutch in the Netherlands. And as early as the 1500s, they are starting to figure it out and starting to create their own type of glazed pottery in places like Rotterdam, Haarlem, and Amsterdam. And what you're looking at is some work by a very famous company called Delftware, um, that is being shown in a marketplace. And today, the Dutch are very successful at selling their pottery, which looks very much like the Chinese, but also has some differences. By the 19th century, non Chinese were developing different types of porcelain, adding in different types of color to make sure that it looked unusual, putting their own unique flavor to it. Today, when someone says, get out the china, what they are referring to is this really finely made porcelain, the origins of which are from China and the blue and white porcelain that they had. It may or may not be made in China anymore. However, the pieces you're looking at right now, these are made in China for the commercial market. In other words, the idea is that they want Americans and Europeans buying them. The rose colored set is actually in a magazine from Macy's. All right, my students, you are giving me between 5 and 7 sentences about what you found interesting, educational, and important about medieval Chinese blue and white porcelain. Thank you.